Next, I'd like to call up Ricardo Radulovich, who's a professor at University of Costa Rica. We're working with him to develop an introductory guide to sea farming. He's received a grant from the World Bank to research coastal farming for poor populations.
Thank you. Thank you. Now at this stage where almost everything has been said, I have very little to offer, excepting perhaps a couple of things and some practical experience that I would like to perhaps make into a proposal. And also, seeing the drawings before me, I would like to apologize for my drawings. They're not mine. This guy that charges me very little, so. As long as the idea is conveyed, you know. So what I do, to begin with, I am an agricultural water scientist. I have a PhD in soils, actually, but in soil-plant water relations. And after many years of seeing this problem of the growing food and water shortages, perhaps I was bathing at the sea, and a wave fell on me because I found water there, and went to work at sea, and have stayed working there. It's been a very long learning curve. Finally, I understand some things, and it's also hard. That's why a lot of work is being done on ponds, on land, and not at sea, because it's just to get out there complicates things a lot, but that's the challenge precisely. It's like if people hadn't come to the West, we wouldn't be here today. So, you know, it's doable. And I'll show some things and perhaps come up with modest approaches, but it's where we stand right now. I believe there are three ways of doing three things that sea farming offer to seasteading. Contribute to self-sufficiency in food. A seastead may depend on food brought from land. Of course, that's, you know, if it's a business or it's convenient, why not? But eventually, it doesn't need to be like that. Second one, to have a financially sustainable operation, a sea farming operation in open water, requires a permanent working colony. It's like the beginning of farmsteading. You know, we begin farming, and then from there everything grows. They want to have movies. They want to have bars. They want to have, you know, everything around that. So eventually it will grow. Then I think sea farming can contribute to security, and we'll talk about that at the end. Wave dampening and other benefits. It's been said already so many times that it's redundant, but me being an agricultural scientist know that everything starts with photosynthesis, and then we begin with herbivores on land, and of course nutrients, uptaking nutrients from the soil, which is equivalent to doing it from the water. Then we have filter feeders, a variety of them at sea. That's the use of microalgae. And then we have herbivores that eat macroalgae, or seaweeds. And then we go up the trophic level. This is the approach. We could raise tuna, or we could raise salmon, and we could feed them with a lot of fish meal and fish oil in the feed and grain in the feed. That's okay. If it works financially, I'm not against that, but I will not emphasize that. I will try to approach from these photosynthesis-based systems and then go up the trophic scale. So do we have, it's a portfolio of possibilities that are implementable right now. Macroalgae cultivation, filter feeders, herbivores, then we go omnivores, and other caged fish and crustaceans that can be carnivores. And at last, I have something I'll show you, floating horticultural crops. The photo there is a a cage we have, one of the cages we've had with shrimp and oysters in polyculture. So the options are so many existing actually. Right now, for example, here you have a microalgae farm in China. 99.8% of seaweed production, of world seaweed production is in Asia. 99.8%. So they're doing it. You can see satellite images that show the big farms, and we are not paying attention. So it has been done. They consume millions of tons of seaweeds for food, for a lot of applications, and we just don't do it. We're really not discovering anything, but trying to, we could all take a trip to China and learn how to do this thing. You know? There are many ways of doing it. This is a macro kelp, a giant kelp. You cannot produce this in warm waters. There are other seaweeds. One thing is that we may need fertilizer, but we've been talking a lot of upwelling and using nutrients in water, so you may not need fertilizer if we choose the right site, whatever. But seaweeds are grown, you attach them to a rope, cut a piece vegetatively. There are other ways of doing this, but one of them is cut a piece, attach it to a rope that's floating. It's a long line, and they just grow there. You just harvest them. It's very simple. It's easier said than done, you know, of course, but it's that complex. Then this is what we're doing in Costa Rica. We have a variety of options. Right now, we have some money from the Gates Foundation to study seaweed cultivation for their use as human food. So we do panels, we cook, use the seaweeds in a variety of meals and foods, and grow them in the Pacific and the Caribbean, and there are many options, many species, and so we're learning, and we're eating a lot of seaweeds. I'm still alive. They're not severely toxic, you know, at least, you know. I've tried worse things, so they're not that terrible. How nutritious they are, it may be a different story. I mean, there are questions about the proteins being completely digestible, but we're working on that, and there is information, and at least they won't kill you, they will feed you, they give you minerals, vitamins, as well as the protein, very low in lipid, and they have a high fiber content. So I think we would like to mainstream seaweeds into the markets. And then they're becoming more and more popular. You eat seaweed salad everywhere now, and so it's the right time perhaps to attempt this. Most, like 2/3 of the countries in the critical nutrition list have coasts, and they have no seaweed production whatsoever, and they suffer from recurrent water shortages. So this is my angle. Okay, it's the water situation and the food. But then once you get into the water, you start learning a lot of other things. You have to deal with other things. So then I think that after making so many mistakes, I can claim the status of specialist in the field. And moreover, after having made mistakes nobody has made before, I am an academic in the field, you know. We have also grown purslane. This is a land plant that grows around shrimp ponds. It gets flooded twice a day with the tides, and they grow pretty well floating on seawater. We have grown other plants, even a mangrove, and they die after a while. These don't die. We would like to try salicornia. So the possibilities are so many, you know, that we're barely beginning. Imagine with 10,000 or more seaweed species, and some of them are so weird that they are single-celled and they're big, you know, so probably genetic engineering them, you know, into tasting like tomatoes or whatever. It may be simple, you know. So the options are very many, very large possibilities. So, but then we go into, say, raising herbivorous fish, because we have had problems with herbivores just eating our seaweeds at best. Some of them, the other ones they don't touch. So instead of, we have placed some nets to keep them out, as I'll show in the next slide, but also we can keep them in. I mean, so we can have a herbivore-based fish production, you know, based on seaweed. For example, large cages that have seaweeds on top, and the herbivores just eat that. And so that's the production limit. I'll show how we can do this in a second, the next slide. So we have sea urchins, abalone, a lot of animals that are herbivores. So you have filter feeders as well. And if we grow, say, for example, we have a site that operates down current from an upwelling site or an artificial upwelling site that allows time for nutrients to become microalgae. We establish a filter feeder production based on mollusks and fish like anchovies and even some sharks, as I was mentioned, but I will go first with the sardines and the anchovies. Then we have crustaceans and fish. For example, we've had sardines in cages, not giving them any feed for months, and even shrimp at low density. They feed on whatever grows, on fouling. For example, here you can see, compare two bags. The greener one is in a cage with shrimp, and the other one is in a cage without shrimp. I mean, they eat anything, you know, that grows. They start. So you can have even production of shrimp without having to add feed. But then, of course, you need a low-cost system to grow them. You cannot. We have rabbit fish, surgeon fish. But if we have to operate with cages that cost $100 per cubic meter to implement, then that's very expensive. If you have a production system that is very expensive, of course you need high profit. So you need to have salmon, and you need to have fish that you will sell in the high-end markets, and you're sort of confined to that approach, which is, as I said, very feasible in many ways, but then it's limited. So we have explored using just flexible cages with fishing net that we had made custom for us in Mexico and in Peru. That we have a cost of $2 to $5 per cubic meter versus $100 per cubic meter for the fancy cages. So we can have large cages, and the larger we make them, the cheaper they are, because you know the perimeter goes down in relation to the volume. So even large cages where we have this herbivore fish growing on seaweeds on top, and it could be possibly sustainable without any maintenance, except taking care that these cages are the integrity. But for integrity, we have also developed perimeters that we can place around the production area. So there are many ways of doing this. I would like to share with you these floating crops, floating horticulture. When I began some years ago, I began taking land crops to the sea, of course, and Aggie was, and then I discovered sea farming, seaweeds and fish and all that stuff. So it's not that I stopped doing this, but I started doing this. These tomatoes up here, these little guys, they were left on a raft. After the plants matured and yielded, they were left like 2-3 months. So I went back, and they were like that 2-3 months after maturing, after ripening. And I ate them. I had photos of myself eating them. They're sweet. Well, I use bioelectronic sensors, for everything I do. So it's amazing. No bug, no bird, no pathogen attacked them. They didn't rot. They were sweet. I'm not saying everything you grow is going to be like that. So we don't have pests and pathogens, and it's nice. So we've done this, irrigating them with distilling, low-cost distillers and rainwater harvesting. You see it. People get so amazed when I fill a bag with a plastic bag with fresh water, so heavy, and I throw it into the seawater, and everybody goes, "Wow, it floats." Sure, it floats. Fresh water is lighter than seawater. So based on that, we have made some designs and to make more efficient water distillers and rainwater harvesters, and storing the water right there in floating bags. This can have applications to a lot of things, not only fresh water. And say there is this design of a floating raft with horticultural crops, which is also a rainwater harvester. And the rainwater is stored in this plastic container below that covers the whole surface, the lower surface. And then through wicks, the plants are irrigated. 1 meter of storage of volume can irrigate crops for 200 days. So, and it rains in these areas where we work from 1.5 meters to 3-4 meters per year. So we can store enough water and use it for different purposes. And then we come to the application to security. Imagine, like these farms we were shown earlier, imagine that down there at the center we have a housing facility, whatever, the seasteading facility, and you have surrounded this seasteading facility by seaweeds and horticultural units, if you want, and cages, if you want. This is unapproachable by sea, unless, of course, you come on a destroyer. And then, of course, you can get and go through it, you know, without noticing. But most ships, small ships that can attack you, pirates, will come and will not be able to approach you. There will be some entrance that can be closed with chains or whatever. So that's one way of approaching security. Not being there, we have made a lot of floating rafts and little houses where we sleep. And of course, we are completely exposed to anybody that comes at night, rowing or just fast on the boat, and they can steal our boats and do stuff. But if we are surrounded by this, and also I'm pretty sure, and we have to test it, that all of this can dampen waves and decrease the effect of the ocean on you. So it's a kind of a bioengineering approach, and just since I paid for these drawings, let me use them. We're ready to do this. Okay, we are ready to do this. I am not talking about things that could be done, and eventually, we can get there. That's very important. But this is what I humbly offer. Well, that house I don't know if I can make, but but some similar to that. Flexible cages with fish, hanging lines with suspension culture, it's called, with bivalves, shellfish, seaweed somewhere over there, horticultural crops, and rainwater harvesting facilities. We have done some recreational facilities as well. We have I have a picture I can show you with my kids in a swimming pool made of nets. So you can have a net, say a swimming pool back there, 50-meter long, where people can come and swim, protected from animals, and it's a very low-cost stuff. So it's doable. I am not offering any high-tech thing, but something that has been tested already. So in the end, I just want to conclude that the sea farming establishes self-sufficiency in food and fresh water by harvesting rainwater. Of course, if we do it in the Persian Gulf, perhaps we cannot do this. We may do distillation. Even bioenergy, perhaps, from seaweeds. You can burn them to begin with. I mean, I'm not against trying to get ethanol and other biofuels from them. But right now, the state of the art, if you want, is squeeze the water out of them and burn them. And so you have biomass. I mean, this is the state of the art. I'll say this because I don't have much time left. It took me too long to learn about the sea, and now I have to do things, And then, of course, it's a financially viable operation. I mean, the seaweed, yes, it is cumbersome. It is sold for hydrocolloid, whatever, but it's done. It pays for itself already. in Asia much more, or in other countries it's growing. So, and then fish we grow, and crustaceans and shellfish, they produce money at the level that at the technology level and the scale they're implemented. And then we contribute to security. I would feel very safe surrounded by these farms that don't allow people to get close to me, and it's also private. It contributes to privacy. So I invite people to take the plunge. I dare, to do this. If you have questions, yes.
When can I come visit?
Anytime.
What kind of wave heights can you operate in for these?
The flexible cages and the systems we have, we are prepared for 3 meters, because we have 3-meter tides and we have some more for the waves. We haven't had that kind of waves. 2 meters is the most we have had. But we have to be, in the Pacific side, we have 3-meter by diurnal tides. So everything has to be set up for that. And then we have the wave problem. In the Caribbean, we only have like 40 centimeters per day change. So it's a different kind of setup. The problem with waves is not that things get destroyed because they are rope and flexible and nets. It's that all the moorings get ripped off, and everything ends up somewhere, So that's, you have to give enough room for that.
So you're doing this in some kind of protected waters for the most part, or out in the open ocean?
Yes, no, yeah, I haven't gone beyond to open waters. We're doing this close to the coast or within gulfs. Yes, to go deep, it takes a lot more effort. I'm ready, but we need the moorings and we need some bigger rafts. And so far, what I'm proposing is to establish a system, a pilot system, on some protected water, say Panama, the Bocas del Toro, somewhere like that, 5 miles away from the coast, sort of simulating a deeper ocean operation, and then years from there go to perhaps a different place. All right, thank you.